Drivers, start your engines. Pull those belts down tight one more time, warm up those tires, hit your marks, and let's go racing, boys and girls. NASCAR, Indycar, Formula One, Formula E, and NHRA Racing Talk. This is the Championship Racing Network. Now here is your hosts, Steve West and Matt Nicholson, with producer John Myers.
And the gang is actually all here. I don't know about fully 100%, but the gang's all here. Something about maybe a program button?
It's possible.
Well,
Hey,
there he is.
All
There
right.
he is.
You know, fun little technical problems here on a Saturday morning.
I just didn't want to let Matt on the air.
Is that what it
was.
is? Okay.
Yeah.
Pure jealousy? Is that what it was?
Absolutely. He gets to climb in the car and go around a circle at 100 miles an hour.
I didn't
Plus.
want 2 weeks off on purpose.
I didn't really want 2 weeks off on purpose either, but, you know, hey, so it goes. We'll get to all that during CRN story time, plus a couple of trips for Matt to talk about.
Mm-hmm.
But for those of you that know, I did undergo a rather invasive surgery a couple of weeks ago, and I'm on the mend. We'll put it like that. I'm on the mend. We'll go that far, and no further. All right. Since we didn't have a show on Father's Day weekend, let's get everybody caught up here, and we'll start with the Camping World Truck Series, where NASCAR returned to Nashville Superspeedway for the first time in a decade. Laps winding down Grant Enfinger. More on him in a moment. He had a pretty good week.
Yep.
He was in the lead, but Ryan Preece moonlighting in the Truck Series in his first ever series start.
Mm-hmm. In a DGR truck.
Think about that for a couple of seconds.
Yep.
He got around the Alabama native Enfinger with 7 laps to go and became only the 5th driver to win in his Truck Series debut.
In some pretty elite company. Very elite.
I would agree with that wholeheartedly. Yeah.
Yep.
Enfinger ended up falling to 3rd. Todd Gilliland got by him for 2nd. Enfinger again 3rd. Then Zane Smith, Stuart Friesen, Matt Crafton, Ben Rhodes, Ty Majeski, Austin Hill, and John Hunter Nemechek completed the top 10. Kind of an uncharacteristically bad day for John Hunter Nemechek.
Very, very, very.
But don't cry for him.
No.
He's got 4 wins on the season. Nemechek is the playoffs 1 seed. You got 2 wins for Ben Rhodes. He's in, as are Todd Gilliland and Sheldon Creed with 1 win apiece. The other 6 in on points at this time are Austin Hill, Zane Smith, Matt Crafton, Stuart Friesen, Carson Hocevar, and Chandler Smith. Smith holds a 15-point lead over Johnny Sauter for 10th, so nothing is really locked down here.
No.
It's finally happened. Now we get to see if he's a man of his word.
From quotes that he said after this race, I think it's going to happen.
Okay. What are we talking about? Well, we just mentioned, for example, Ryan Preece moonlighting in the Camping World Truck Series, right?
Mm-hmm.
How many times have we talked about how we're tired of Kyle Busch moonlighting in the Xfinity Series?
Way too many times.
He has said on several occasions that once he gets to win number 100, he'll stop.
Mm-hmm.
He got to win number 100 last weekend in Nashville.
Mm-hmm.
I guess we'll find out. The number was attained. He, in fairly typical fashion, dominated, leading 122 of 189 laps. For the 2nd race in a row, held off series regular Justin Allgaier in over 3 late race restarts, claiming the win. Trailing Busch and Allgaier in 1st and 2nd were Harrison Burton in 3rd. Then Josh Berry, A.J. Allmendinger, Brandon Jones, Jeb Burton, Noah Gragson, Austin Hill, and Riley Herbst. Here's the question. We've been wondering about Riley for most of the season now. And we'll grant you this has been an across-the-board down year for Stewart-Haas Racing.
Absolutely.
But did we really think that Riley Herbst was going to be having a situation where at this point in time in the season he would have no wins and is on the outside of the playoff picture looking in?
I could see the no wins part, but the outside looking in has kind of got me scratching my head a little bit.
But we're talking about him more and more over the last few weeks.
He's picking up, but not in droves, I guess you could say.
Not by leaps and bounds.
Yeah.
But hopefully this is a continuation of what they're looking for. No new winners. Obviously, Kyle Busch moonlighting. He gets the win. Austin Cindric continues to lead the series way with 3 wins, 2 wins each for A.J. Allmendinger and Justin Allgaier. Single wins for Jeb Burton, Myatt Snyder, covering 5 of the 12 playoff slots in the series. Then you move on. You got Daniel Hemrick, Harrison Burton, Justin Haley, Brandon Jones, Noah Gragson, Michael Lynette, and Jeremy Clements. Clements holds a sizable 48-point lead over Brandon Brown for that final playoff spot, and then Riley Herbst is 50 back, if I remember correctly.
Yep, he is.
Formula E was in Mexico for a doubleheader weekend. Race number 1 saw Lucas deGrassi edge Rene Rast by less than half a second for the win. Eduardo Mortara was 3rd. Alexander Sims 4th, bested Jake Dennis. Antonio Felix da Costa, Stoffel Van Dorn, Mitch Evans, Nick DeVries, Alex Lynn made up the top 10 on day 1. We'll get to the points later. Then Saturday night, race number 2 of the Ray Evernham, Tony Stewart-led Superstar Racing Experience, or SRX. Legendary Knoxville, Iowa dirt track. Tony Stewart won 1 of the heat races, led twice for 43 laps in the main, claims his first win in his own series, said afterward, quote, "It's the first time I've ever been to victory lane at Knoxville." I don't think I would have guessed that going in.
Yeah, as a car owner, he's been umpteen times. But as a driver, yes, that is his first time in victory lane there.
I don't think I would have guessed that going in.
I wouldn't have guessed that either.
Yeah. I mean, as accomplished as he is.
Oh, yeah. I wouldn't have even been close.
Haley Deegan acquitted herself quite well in her SRX debut. She got 2nd place, trailed by Ernie Francis Jr., then Elio Castroneves, Michael Waltrip, Bobby Labonte, Marco Andretti, Brian Brown, Scott Bloomquist, and Willie T. Ribbs making up the top 10 out of 12. I've looked all over the place. Either they're not keeping track of points or they're keeping them a secret.
No, they are. I saw it yesterday. They're keeping track of points.
Okay.
It's I can pull it right here because I saw the graphic where they had it broke down. Let's see. Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? It's close. I know it is because they did it early.
We give a
Here
hint
it
to the
is.
fun.
Here it is.
I'll give a hint to the fine folks who are running the Superstar Racing Experiences website. Might want to put your points on the website.
Here, it's actually through their Twitter feed. I had to go back a couple of days and find it, but the SRX points right now after week 2, Tony Stewart leads with 82 points. Ernie Francis Jr., who's been quite the surprise to watching this whole thing together,
I agree.
is 2nd in with 71. The car, now they're doing this by car. They're not doing it by driver.
Okay.
The car that was piloted by Tony Kanaan normally, which Haley Deegan drove at Knoxville, sits 3rd with 66. Elio Castroneves is in 4th with 58. Bobby Labonte in 5th with 55. Michael Waltrip is in 6th with 45 points. Marco Andretti in 7th with 41. Bill Elliott in 8th with 33. Paul Tracy in 9th with 27. And Willie T. Ribbs is 10th with 25. Now, the local legends car that Doug Kobe drove at the opening race at Stafford and then Brian Brown drove at Knoxville is with 65 points. And the Ringer car, which is their gold car, with so far that Greg Biffle piloted at Stafford and then Scott Bloomquist drove at Knoxville, sits with 57 points. So that puts that car technically in 5th, and the local legends car is in a tie for 3rd with 66.
Be interesting to watch that.
Yep.
Okay. That brings us to Sunday morning of last weekend, where Formula One was in France. And they were going to try and see if they couldn't settle things down between the two front row dominators, talking about Red Bull and Mercedes. Max Verstappen on his Red Bull claimed the pole, but he overdrove an early turn, which allowed Lewis Hamilton to claim the lead. So Red Bull decided to take a page out of the Mercedes strategy book, going back to the Spanish Grand Prix earlier this year, and instead of a one-stop strategy, decided to go 2 pit stops to Mercedes single-stop plans. That got Verstappen up to Hamilton. He passed him on lap 52 of 53, just in time. And he got the win. Hamilton settled for 2nd. Apparently, Valtteri Bottas was screaming on his radio, trying to get the Mercedes officials to switch because he recognized that Red Bull was switching to the 2-stop strategy. They didn't listen.
No. And look what's doing to him.
Hamilton settles for 2nd. Sergio Perez 3rd. Valtteri Bottas 4th. Again, complaining loudly that Mercedes didn't see the strategy change and adjust to it. Lando Norris finished fifth, trailed by Daniel Ricciardo, Pierre Gasly, Fernando Alonso, Sebastian Vettel, and Lance Stroll. With the win, Verstappen expands his lead over Hamilton in Drivers' Championship points, 131 to 119. It's not insignificant, just to let you know.
It's not insignificant, but it's stretching to a point.
Agreed. Perez is third with 84, so pretty much a two-horse race.
Mm-hmm.
Norris 76, 59 for Bottas. Charles Leclerc has 52, 42 for Carlos Sainz. Pierre Gasly with 37, Daniel Ricciardo 34, and Sebastian Vettel in 10th with 30. Red Bull is out to a 215 to 178 point lead over Mercedes in the Constructors' Cup standings. That is eye-opening.
Yeah, that one right there is stretching. 37 points.
McLaren has 110, 94 for Ferrari. AlphaTauri's got 45, Alpine 29, 2 for Alfa Romeo. And you've got your twin goose eggs of Haas F1 and Williams. And I don't expect that'll change anytime soon.
Nope.
The NTT Data IndyCar Series took to Road America next. It was another race that saw a pass for the lead with less than 2 laps to go. This time it was young gun Alex Palou. He got by two-time series champion Joseph Newgarden gets the win. Pulled out to a 1.91 second lead by the checkers flags over Colton Herta. Newgarden needed to pit for a splash of gas. He dropped all the way to 21st. Ouch.
Yeah.
Third place was Will Power, Scott Dixon fourth, then Romain Grosjean, another nice run for him. Marcus Ericsson, Alexander Rossi, Takuma Sato, Pato Award, and Max Chilton. With his win, Palou takes the points lead in the series, 349 to 321 over another young gun in Pato Award. And then defending champion Scott Dixon is third, down at 296. Joseph Newgarden's down at 261. Simon Pagenaud, 255.
How about the newbie?
As far as the rookies are concerned, thank you for asking. Scott McLaughlin holds the rookie points lead with 180. 125 for Romain Grosjean, and then there's Jimmy Johnson.
That's what I was interested at.
It's a familiar number for Jimmy Johnson.
Yeah.
He's accrued a grand total of 48 points.
48 points.
Yes.
I've never seen an any excuse me, I just took the words out of the mouth there. I've never seen in any motorsport series of any kind with somebody that has such a high profile name and such high pedigree with low expectations.
Well, I think the expectations are high. The performance is low.
And the tolerance level.
Drop the mic.
Yeah. The
True.
tolerance level
True.
to me is amazingly broad from what I can tell.
Yeah.
Because if you think about it, this is a guy who's a 7-time Cup Series champion who's marching over to IndyCar, and they just keep talking about the learning curve being steep for Jimmy Johnson. Obviously it is. But if you look at somebody like Scott McLaughlin, who basically has as much or as little experience as Jimmy Johnson, but he's taken to this like a duck to water.
That's the best way to say it.
I'm not sure why we're not being less patient with Jimmy Johnson.
Who said we?
Well, we as in general terms, talking about the press as a general term.
I know.
No joke.
But
I mean-
McLaughlin has 180 points at this point.
Yes. To 48. He's got him by 130.
180.
He's got
180.
Johnson by 130 plus points.
So he's at least five times better.
And I get it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And I get it in the fact that Jimmy Johnson has not run the oval tracks. But here's the thing. We haven't run that many because there aren't that many on the schedule.
You ran effectively 2 all year.
Yeah. So, when do we stop making excuses?
And here's my thing. So he ran 2 oval tracks this year. How did he do at those oval tracks?
McLaughlin nearly
Actually,
won Texas.
pretty
you would expect him to excel in every way. How did he fare?
McLaughlin?
No.
Johnson?
Yes.
Johnson didn't run them.
I thought you just said he ran 2.
Scott McLaughlin. I thought you was talking about Scott McLaughlin. Yeah, Jimmy Johnson has not ran any ovals.
My
Yeah,
mistake.
he's not
I
running oval.
misunderstood.
Yeah, he's not running oval. Nor is Romain Grosjean,
No.
which probably means that Scott McLaughlin runs away with Rookie of the Year. But that being said, they're not running the oval track races. But again, there's only been 2, Texas and in Indianapolis, for all intents and purposes.
Mm-hmm.
Why would he not?
There's this fear, I think, and to a certain extent, I think it's unfounded.
Very.
But
Very.
there's a built-in fear about IndyCar cars on oval tracks.
Run them.
Yeah, I mean,
Right.
it's not like Jimmy Johnson's unfamiliar with Indianapolis. It's not like Jimmy Johnson's unfamiliar with Texas. He could run both of those courses and not really have to worry about it that much. And it
That's-
might have just done him. It might have done him good.
That's what I'm thinking.
Oh, yeah.
That's exactly what I'm thinking. Because if he's familiar with the tracks, he's run them before, so he has that track experience. Not necessarily the track and car, but the track. So if he does well at those tracks in NASCAR, take an IndyCar on him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's kind of my way of looking at it. I mean,
Instead of 48, have 148.
and he's got a good team around him. It's not like he's got people. He doesn't have people that he couldn't talk to and go, "Hey, listen, talk to me."
Very true. I mean,
So-
you share a car with Tony Kanaan, of all people. Tony
Exactly. Tony Kanaan can tell you what you're missing.
Kanaan. And then some. And then some.
I don't know.
Could it be youth?
Maybe.
Maybe. We'll get back to doing the rundowns here in just a couple of moments, but just like kind of we're seeing some cracks in the brick in the foundation of Jimmy Johnson's IndyCar racing career, if you happen to be seeing them in your brick basement walls or sheetrock, or your windows or doors are sticking, or you got uneven floors or water or damp floors in your basement or crawl space, this is something you might want to be concerned about when it comes to your house. Because while it's not a guarantee of it, certainly could be a sign of a possible foundation failure. And if you leave it untreated, this later on down the line ain't going to get better. It's only going to get worse. We're talking thousands, tens of thousands, potentially dollars worth of damage to your home. This is your home. More than likely the biggest investment you're ever going to make in your life. Don't take chances with it. Give our friend Michael Hart at Ox Foundation Solutions a call or an email at 205-362-6419 or mike at oxfoundations.com. And what he will do is set up a time, come out, give you a no-cost, no-obligation written foundation assessment. And he's going to be blunt with you. What do I mean by that? This is a good and a bad thing. The good side of it is, if there's no problem with the house, you have it in writing, and he's going to tell you, thank you very much, have a great day, and hope that it continues to be that way. On the other hand, if there is a problem, you have it in detail, and you have an estimate. So you know what's going on with the house, you know what it's going to take to fix it, and how much. If you're in the situation where you need to have repairs done, we'll let you know something that'll save you 15% off of that bill.
15% off the top, out of your hair. Just tell them West.
That's right. Tell them the promo code WEST. You get 15% off that repair. Get the whole process started now, 205-362-6419, or by email, mike at oxfoundations.com. And again, if you need repairs done, mention the promo code WEST, 15% off. Could be a fairly significant price, depending on what may be going on with your house. And tell them that everybody here at CRN sent you.
We will be right back with more on the Championship Racing Network.
This report is service of the Area Agency on Aging.
Woohoo! I've been seeing them Ox vehicles a lot more around this area.
What's that?
I've been seeing Ox Foundation vehicles around this area a lot lately.
Awesome.
When I seen one Friday before I went to Texas, I actually thought it was Michael in the vehicle. I saw it.
They'll explain all about SNAP to you. It's a food stamp program for senior citizens.
WVTL 13 is back on Dish. Subscribers, thanks for your patience and welcome back. Welcome back to primetime favorites like The Voice, The Blacklist, and Little big shots. Welcome back to the best of daytime with Days of Our Lives, Steve Harvey, and Ella. Welcome back to today's WBTM 13 News. The latest word in what's happening right now and what's next, plus the all-new storm tracking power of WBTM 13 Live Doppler. Thanks, Dish subscribers, and welcome now to WBTM 13.
We could go in 30 seconds or we could go in 3 minutes.
I guess we'll find out.
So how will you do you? Make Fuse Auto a fate that is yours. In store now. Discover more at Fuse.com. Fuse. Church Beyond. Favorite products. Underage sale prohibited. Website and offers restricted.
Tires only. And back out to the track for more action on the Championship Racing Network.
As we continue talking about last weekend's on-track action, we go back to Nashville Super Speedway, where for the first time in its history, they hosted the Cup Series. And despite any lack of experience on the track, it kind of appears like Kyle Larson is not missing a beat.
Nope.
This guy's been hot, and that's an understatement.
Yeah. That's safe to say.
Including Nashville.
Mm-hmm.
Going back, is it 6 races, I think? He's either finished first or second in every single race.
Yep. It is 6, yep. Which is absurd to think of.
And when it came to Nashville, he led 264 of 300 laps. Marks the fourth time, I should say, this season he has led at least 200 laps in a race. Marked his 3rd straight win, which trailed 3 straight second-place results. So, again, the last time Larson was not either first or second, you got to go back to May 2nd, Kansas. God.
And actually, the race before that, he didn't even make a lap at Talladega.
Well,
because he blew up.
Ross Chastain had a strong run. He claimed second, then William Byron third. Eric Almirola and Kevin Harvick in the top 5. Twin Stewart-Haas Racing top 5 finishes. Mm-hmm. Could this be them turning the corner?
I think they're peeking. They're not turning the corner. I have to say they're peeking around the corner of the door.
Okay.
Going like, hey, we're coming back in here, guys.
Okay.
Listen.
Ricky Stenhouse Jr., Daniel Suarez, Kurt Busch, Christopher Bell, Joey Logano make up the top 10. Larson now leads 4 wins to Martin Truex Jr.'s 3 in the playoff ladder. Alex Bowman has 2 wins on the season, and then there are your single-time winners. William Byron, Chase Elliott. We'll get back to that. Yeah. Joey Logano, Kyle Busch, Ryan Blaney, Brad Keselowski, Christopher Bell, and Michael McDowell. 5 slots are being held on points by Denny Hamlin, Kevin Harvick, Austin Dillon, Tyler Reddick, and Chris Buescher. Buescher holds a 24-point lead over Kurt Busch for that final playoff spot. Nothing locked down there. Back to Formula E, Puebla, Mexico. Eduardo Mortara backed up his Saturday third-place finish with a win on Sunday, his 2nd career series win, bettering Nick Cassidy by over 4 seconds. Oliver Rowland was 3rd, Pascal Wehrlein. Jake Dennis, Alex Lynn, Max Gunther, Jean-Eric Verne, Mitch Evans, and Rene Rast make up the top 10. Gaining 40 points over the weekend, vaults Mortara into the points lead over Robin Frein, 72-62. DaCosta with 60, topping a 3-way tie with Rene Rast and Mitch Evans. And team standings are led by Mercedes, 113-110 for DS Takita, 109 for Jaguar. Audi's 4th with 99, tied with Envision Virgin Racing. Then you got 83 for Rocket Venturi. BMW I Andretti with 82, 68 for Mahindra. Tag Heuer Porsche with 68, Nissan Edams with 64. Dragon Penske with 42, and the early season promising runs for the Neo F333 team have gone by the wayside. Uh-huh. They are last with 18.
Yeah.
So that brings us to this weekend's slate of racing. NASCAR's at the Tricky Triangle of Pocono. ARCA led off last night. For those of you that were wondering, Sam Mayer was driving Brett Holmes' car. Massive problems. Not necessarily of their doing.
No, it just... It's hard to adequately describe it because it was one of the oddest things I've ever seen happen. One of the oddest things I've ever seen happen. Much to their demise, which is, I hate he had bad luck. But one of the other cars on the track, I actually think it was the 30 car of Chris Wright, lost a drive shaft. But how he lost the drive shaft in the middle of the race is the rear end gear locked down, which snapped the drive shaft.
Okay.
Well, parts of the pieces of the pinion gear come out of the rear end, debris on the track, and unfortunately Sam hit one of those pieces of debris, which you can't see debris like that. I bet it was probably a, 6 or 7 inch piece of the ring gear. Got lodged in a really bad spot on the front bumper. Got lucky and got a caution to where they could come in and get it knocked out, but it was wedged and lodged in a place to where it was really hard to get out.
Gotcha.
Well, it went back out to keep from losing a lap, and in the process of that, the piece decides to dislodge itself. Flies underneath the car and causes a catastrophic engine failure, whether it busted the oil pan, ripped the oil lines off, or C, all of the above. Don't know what happened, but unfortunate deal that happened on lap 21 for sure.
Yep.
And Sam was in 4th when all that happened.
Had been a good run up until that point.
Absolutely, it was.
So we begin today with the Camping World Truck Series, running the CRC Brake Clean 150, noon Eastern, 11 a.m. Central Time. Fox Sports 1 and MRN Radio have the coverage there. Cup Series running the Pocono Organic CBD 325, starts 3 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Central Time, NBC Sports Network and PRN Radio. Tonight, Superstar Racing Experience, race number 3, Eldora Raceway, second straight week running on dirt. CBS has the television coverage, 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Central Time. To tomorrow morning, where it's the second of 3 straight race weekends for F1. They're running the first Austrian or Styrian Grand Prix. It's on Red Bull Ring in Spielberg, Austria, 2.638 miles long, 10 turns on that road course. Starts at 8 a.m. Eastern, 7 a.m. Central on ESPN. Back to Pocono, Xfinity Series, running the Pocono Green 225, recycled by J.P. Mascaro and Sons. Yes, that's the actual title. Noon Eastern, 11 a.m. Central, NBC Sports Network, MRN Radio. NHRA gets the finals of the NHRA Summit Racing Equipment Nationals at Summit Racing Motorsports Park in Norwalk, Ohio. 2 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Central Time. That's live on Fox. And then finally, the Cup Series at Pocono anchors a pretty busy racing weekend. We're going to run the Explore the Pocono Mountains 350, 3:30 p.m. Eastern, 2:30 p.m. Central Time on MRN Radio and the NBC Sports Network Sunday afternoon.
Pocono Raceway is the first facility that I've ever seen that has an ARCA race that is 50 miles longer than the truck race.
Usually ARCA's shorter than trucks.
Usually it's either shorter or in some cases
or the same length,
equal length. Yeah. But
I agree.
I've never seen it opposite like that.
All right. How many times have we talked about loose lug nuts? And we're talking 2.
A lot.
And usually 2 is enough to gain a pretty good fine and probably a suspension for the crew chief. Have we ever heard more than 2?
Let me think. I'm wanting to say we've heard 3 at one time. That's the most I've ever heard.
Chase Elliott one-ups everybody.
And then some.
Yeah. How about 2-ups?
Yeah.
5 loose lug nuts after last weekend's race.
Which is insane.
And how many lug nuts on the wheel itself?
5.
Ding.
On each one. 20 total.
20 total.
In post-race inspection, NASCAR noted that the number 9 of defending champion Chase Elliott had 5 loose lug nuts, which brought about a disqualification of his 13th place finish in Nashville. He also lost his first stage win. He gives that over to Kurt Busch, and it relegates him to last on the day. They didn't announce any further penalties, but
That's it. That was the only penalty.
I'm a little surprised that the crew chief didn't get suspended. I
It's-
gotta say that.
That is surprising as well, for sure. But who was it? Wanting to say it was Scott Miller on Morning Drive of Sirius XM Monday morning said that the maximum penalty for that is just disqualification, no points. Yeah.
In some ways, that's an escape for the nine.
Yep.
I mean, I get it. They lose all those points that they accrued, the playoff point for winning the stage and all that. But, I mean, if you get 2 loose lug nuts, your crew chief gets suspended. But you get 5 and your crew chief isn't suspended?
That's kind of backwards. If you ask me.
I mean, I'm kind of
It's
wondering. I'm kind of wondering if NASCAR doesn't look at that rule at the end of the year.
I think it'll probably be reevaluated for sure.
I think it would. I think it should be.
Oh, yeah.
Truth be told. Better news for the number 9 team. They're actually going to get longtime Cup Series spotter Eddie DeHaan back. DeHaan, you might remember, was suspended back on May 26 by Hendrick Motorsports and NASCAR after he'd been arrested on charges of misdemeanor assault. But DeHaan got through the subsequent investigation. He's been cleared of all charges. All those were officially dismissed Friday a week ago, and with that, NASCAR and Hendrick Motorsports immediately reinstated DeHaan. He was back at his spotter duties last weekend in Nashville. Good news there. Another Hendrick Motorsports team is solidified as well. The team, Hendrick Motorsports, has signed Alex Bowman to a 2-year contract extension. That'll keep him in the number 48 Chevrolet Camaro through the 2023 season, and he keeps Ally Bank as his sponsor through that time. Bowman is 11th in standings with a win this year at Dover, locking him into the playoffs for a 4th straight year. And then there was this bit of news from Hendrick Motorsports, and I'm not really sure this is a surprise. I think it was more a matter of when are they going to announce this?
Yep.
Because I think we all kind of figured out that this was going to happen sooner rather than later.
Agreed.
We have a succession program in place at Hendrick Motorsports. 4-time Cup Series champion, NASCAR Hall of Famer Jeff Gordon is set to become the team's vice chairman. The intent being that the former driver turned broadcaster going to take over the day-to-day operations whenever 71-year-old Rick Hendrick finally decides to step away from said day-to-day operations. Gordon, who's now 49, when he retired from his Hall of Fame driving career, he transitioned into the Fox Sports NASCAR booth, but that will officially end at the end of this year. He will take over his new duties back at the only team he ever drove for in his Cup Series career, officially when 2022 dawns. Rick Hendrick said of this, quote, "Jeff and I have talked about this for many years. I feel it's a natural evolution for him and our company. We've talked about this rumor for many years, once pretty much when it first popped up, and it seemed to make a whole heck of a lot of sense."
In every sense of the word, it makes perfect sense because with he went in, I think it was 2008, 2007, somewhere in that time frame, when he became an equity owner in Hendrick Motorsports. The writing was on the wall then.
I agree.
So, it, like you said, it was not a matter of if, it was a matter of when. And honestly, it makes perfect sense because Rick Hendrick, being 71, approaching age 72, his days are more limited in the sense of they're winding down.
Agreed.
Versus him increasing. So, Rick Hendrick's a smart business person. He's strategically setting everything up for his company. So when he says, "All right, boys, I'm calling it a career," it's yours.
This is the first one, and there are others that we're thinking of.
Yeah.
We'll get back to that here in a second. Jeff Gordon released a statement that said, in part, quote, "I cannot put into words what Hendrick Motorsports means to me. In many ways, it's my home, and the people here are my family. I never lost my passion for the organization, for our sport, and for the sheer challenge of racing and winning at the highest level." Needless to say, he's going to take over an organization that's in pretty good shape, to put it mildly.
No doubt.
So there are other ones. We're trying to figure out what's going to happen to Joe Gibbs. It's probably going to stay within the family because he's had his family. Obviously, J.D. Gibbs passed away a few years ago, but still, he's had it within his family for the last few years. I don't imagine that's going to change much.
Nope.
Maybe we have this set for the Cat in the Hat, because Adam Stern now of Sports Business Daily is reporting that Roush Fenway Racing has begun informing their partners, sponsors, that Brad Keselowski is indeed set to join the organization as driver and team co-owner in 2022. Now, remember, this started, less than 2 months ago.
Yes, it was before the Coke 600.
Just before the Coke
Yeah,
600.
just
So about a
before,
month
yeah.
ago, that this rumor started floating around the garage that Keselowski is going to sign with Roush Fenway. He's going to leave the number 2 and Team Penske and take over from what the rumor said, the number 6. Ryan Newman's kind of going, my car? But anyway. And he would then have an equity stake in what would become Roush Fenway Keselowski Racing.
RFK.
Which, again, not a bad deal for Jack Roush.
No.
And for the Fenway Sports Group, which has their fingers in a whole lot of other different pies, this gives them a racing person to where they don't have to worry about the future of the team, at least in the short term.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
But again, nothing's official, and we're hearing that per Keselowski's contract, nothing could be said officially until like September.
That is correct. Early
So,
September.
But I will state this. We said at the beginnings of this particular rumor that it came from a source that we were less than thrilled about.
That's fair to say.
With Adam Stern of Sports Business Daily on this, to me, this gives this more credibility.
And as well, Bob Pockrass is stating the same words as well.
Yeah.
So
apparently there is more fire than smoke.
pretty much, it seems like there's more gas being poured on that fire, and it's getting bigger by the day.
So in the case of Mr. Jim, even a blind nut finds a squirrel every once in a while. Let's go ahead and take a break. When we come back, Cowlig Racing, ready to go Cup Series racing with 2 full-time teams. Might make you wonder about the charter situation. Turns out they actually found not just 1, but 2. From where? We'll tell you about it next, right here on CRN.
Don't touch that dial. The Championship Racing Network will be right back.
With severe weather at its worst. Introducing WVTM 13 Live Doppler.
Anybody got YouTube pulled up?
I don't have it pulled up, but I did share it.
I don't have time to monitor chat.
Yeah, I got it up. It's fine.
If there's any.
Yeah, if there's anybody chatting, go ahead and say hi.
I could jump in every once in a while. I think I finally have all the slates edited with the new cams again.
Right.
I might go back to a static
If you're having problems buying your groceries and you need
to make it easier to set everything up. But
1-800-243-5463. They'll explain all about SNAP to you. It's a food stamp program for senior citizens.
somebody's supposed to show me right now. Yes. And the sound is my cam and background music. Stop saying that. Please. Go, go.
To the Championship Racing Network.
Hey, welcome back in. Hour number 1 rolling on here, and we're talking about Cup Series news here. I'm Steve West. That's Matt Nicholson.
Yep.
John Myers running things capably, both on air and on YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
We appreciate you checking out YouTube, by the way. Just look up Championship Racing Network. You hit the subscribe button, and you're set and ready to go. We'll give you notifications anytime we're on the air.
Very important to hit the subscribe button.
And it don't cost you nothing.
Nope.
So why wouldn't you?
100% free.
Indeed.
You know it.
All right. Cowlick Racing. This is not a surprise.
No.
We mentioned the fact that they were going to go Cup Series racing, what, 4 weeks ago?
Yeah. Yep.
They followed it up. They've acquired 2 charters. So they will be entering into the 2022 Cup Series season with 2 full-time teams.
Mm-hmm.
Details on that. One of them is going to be a number 16 Chevy Camaro, so that means they pulled that number from Roush Fenway.
Mm-hmm.
That one will be driven, no shock here, by Justin Haley in a multiple-year deal.
Yep.
The second car has yet to be officially numbered from what I can tell.
Correct. That is correct.
And at the moment is set to be driven by a series of drivers, among which will be A.J. Allmendinger, although the exact number that Allmendinger will get behind the wheel has not yet been revealed.
If I had to guess,
Excuse me.
probably they would probably match numbers up and go 16 and 26, if I had to guess.
Maybe so.
So there's 2 of the Roush numbers gone.
Yep. Allmendinger, by the way, will remain full-time in the Xfinity Series in 2022. Then that brings us to the charter situation. You might wonder where those charters came from. Because, let's face it, we got a whole lot of teams right now that are very, very interested in going Cup Series racing.
Very.
And that means that charters now suddenly come at even more of a premium than what they were before.
Mm-hmm.
Turns out the charters for Cowlick Racing came from Spire Motorsports. Coming into 2022, they had 3. They've sold off 2 of them. Mm-hmm. The one Spire's going to keep will actually now be assigned to the number 7 Chevrolet Camaro to be driven by Corey LaJoy. The number 77, and then one that I guess that they leased off.
To Trackhouse.
Oh.
Yeah. So Trackhouse has lost a charter for next year.
Yes.
Right when they were talking about expanding to 2 cars next year.
Yes.
I mean, Justin Marks has made it crystal clear. He said, I'm not afraid to run as an open car.
And that's fine, but I think long term, he's going to want himself a charter.
Yeah, that's not a wise move to run without a charter.
No.
But he will find a charter from somewhere where that teams that I do think they need to sell some charters off because they're not competing at a high level. Rick Ware.
Mm-hmm.
So,
agree with
yeah.
But
yeah, there's my 2 cents on that one.
He probably needs to move pretty quick because then this week came this bit of news. GMS Racing has announced plans that they want to go Cup Series racing in 2022. Team owner Maury Gallagher said June 17th, quote, GMS is always looking forward. I believe this is the next step for the team in that process. We have the goal to be a championship caliber team in any series in which we compete, and I'm excited to watch the team grow in the coming years. GMS Racing's not all that old. They formed in 2014. Yeah. Since that time, they have 61 wins running the ARCA Menards, Camping World Truck Series, and Xfinity Series competition. They took home the titles in ARCA in 2015 and Truck Series in 2016 and 2020. Again, as for a charter, could be a little bit more difficult. No mention of that in their announcement, only that they are actively seeking sponsorship and that it might be a part-time effort initially as drivers and their schedules have not been announced. That is expected in the next several weeks, however. I wouldn't think they'd want to play long on a part-time Cup Series schedule thing.
I seriously doubt that GMS will be part-time. They'll be full-time. So if you sit and look at it now, you've got 2 Cowlick cars.
Mm-hmm.
You got GMS car.
Yep.
You add in a second 2311 car, which is pretty much all but a given's gonna happen.
They've made more noise about that in the last several weeks, 2, 3,
Yeah.
4 weeks, than what they had ever since they first got in.
Yep. You've got Trackhouse that's very much at a high level exploring a second car. There's 5 potential new teams, and if Junior Motorsports pulls the trigger and says, let's go to Cup, there's 6.
Yeah.
6 brand new cars.
Junior Motorsports has said that they are investigating it. They haven't said anything specific. Kyle Busch Motorsports, Kyle said earlier this week that at this point in time he doesn't see it happening.
Right.
Not in the cards for KBM. But at some point in time later on down the line, who knows? But, I mean, if you think about what we have seen, Trackhouse, 2311, Live Fast,
Mm-hmm.
then you bring in CalLig, then you bring in GMS.
Mm-hmm. I mean, and who knows? Roush Fenway could go to 3 cars again.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, bring over Brad Keselowski and still keep Ryan Newman.
That's not out of the question.
Very distinct possibility.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. Ain't it going to be fun?
Mm-hmm.
Silly season well underway.
That it is.
Let's head on over to the Xfinity Series where Landon Castle's about to break new ground in the NASCAR world. Xfinity Series driver's about to get paid by one of his sponsors in cryptocurrency. Voyage, which is a cryptocurrency brokerage firm, has signed a 19-race deal with JD Motorsports and Castle. They're going to pay up in the light form of online money and may do some Bitcoin as well. Castle didn't give details, but said Voyager was paying market rate in a portfolio of light and Bitcoin in current market rates, subject to change. I'll be honest with you, I haven't kept up with it. I don't know what the market rate is.
Neither do I.
Landon, good luck.
Yeah, good luck with it for sure.
Patori Racing Enterprises and driver Austin Hill ran their first 2021 Xfinity Series race last weekend in Nashville. Finished top 10. Nice run. They're planning 5 more races this season in the number 16 Toyota Supra. This weekend at Pocono, then you'll see, Indianapolis, Michigan, the Roval at Charlotte, and Texas. Okay. And then this bit of sad news.
Yep.
A guy well known as Iron Man within the NASCAR world, talking about NASCAR Hall of Famer Jack Ingram, best known for his exploits in what is now the Xfinity Series and in the NASCAR Sportsman competition before that, what it transitioned into, has passed away. Jack Ingram, born in Asheville, North Carolina in 1938, he was a racer pretty much all of his life on the local level. Got a chance to drive in the late model sportsman division of NASCAR, going on to win his first title in that in 1972, and backed it up with titles in that same division 1973, 1974. He would continue racing in that division until it did 2 things. Number 1, in the early 1980s, became what we then called the Busch Series and what is now the Xfinity Series. And then he got a call to drive a number 11 Skoal Bandit in 1984. He won the series' most popular driver in 1982, would go on to win the series title in 1985. He led the series in wins in 1982, 85, and 86. By the time he retired from the series after the 1991 season, he held the record at that time for wins with 31. It was first broken by Mark Martin and now most notably held by Kyle Busch. We talked about this in the rundown. He's sitting at 100 and hopefully done.
We hope.
Jack Ingram's time in racing was noted by induction into the International Motorsports Hall of Fame in 2007 and in 2014 induction, very, very well deserved on both, into the NASCAR Hall of Fame. No specifics were given about Ingram, save for the fact that he was hospitalized in his native Asheville since early May, passed away early Friday morning. Hall of Fame director Winston Kelly said of Ingram, quote, "NASCAR has lost a true racer's racer." You think about that comment. It's a very simple comment on the surface.
Yep.
But you get deep down.
Oh, yeah.
That's a massive compliment.
Huge. It's huge because yesterday morning when I got up and got my day going, looking through Twitter, and that's all you saw. Every single individual that I know of that's on my Twitter feed and outside Twitter feeds that I don't follow that's related to motorsports, nothing but Jack Ingram.
Mm-hmm.
They're just like, man, we lost a giant.
Absolutely. I agree with that wholeheartedly.
Yep.
Jack Ingram, 84 years old. To Camping World Truck Series news, based upon his win in the first ever SRX race at Stafford Speedway in Connecticut, Doug Coby is going to get a chance to drive for GMS Racing at the upcoming Bristol Motor Speedway Camping World Truck Series race. Set to drive the number 24 Chevrolet, sponsorship, and a paint scheme to be named later for that September race weekend.
That SRX win he had was popular.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
And he didn't just win it on a late pass either. He dominated
that race. I agree.
Dominated that race.
I agree. And I get the funny feeling he's not the only guy in SRX who's going to get a chance to drive something else.
Oh, no.
Before it's all said and done.
Not at all.
And then there's good news. Despite the fact that he didn't quite get the win at Nashville Superspeedway last weekend, Grant Enfinger had something to celebrate this week.
And probably, I would have to say, one of the best, we're going to keep this quiet moves I've probably ever seen. He and his wife, Michelle, welcomed their first child this week. Carson Timothy.
Congratulations.
Absolutely.
From what we understand, mom and dad and child are perfectly healthy.
They are.
Glad to hear it.
Yep.
Then there's some basic NASCAR news here. Sports Business Journals named NASCAR the Sports League of the Year in their annual Sports Business Awards. The award given to NASCAR due to how it handled the challenges of 2020. Among the things that they noted were they were the first major sport back into action after the shutdown in the early part of the year. They were the first to safely welcome fans back into the grandstands, and they were the first to actually run a full schedule last year. Steve Phelps, president of NASCAR, said, quote, "We're honored to be named 2020 Sports League of the Year, and thanks to the Sports Business Journal for this incredible recognition. This award is a testament to the collective resolve and creativity of our industry as we worked through some extraordinary circumstances in 2020, and in the process led the way for live sports in our country. NASCAR's been nominated before, but this is their first time ever winning Best Sports League or Sports League of the Year. In this case, they bested the NBA, NHL, NFL, PGA Tour, UFC, and WNBA.
It's a pretty sizable feather in the cap right there, if you ask me.
I agree.
Very
Congratulations. Sizable. NASCAR continues their efforts to diversify and have actually hired current New Orleans Saints running back Alvin Kamara, who has turned into a big NASCAR fan himself, to assist in their efforts. Last weekend, he was named the series' first ever growth and engagement advisor. Put that on a business card.
Yeah.
He had a bit of fun with this when he put out a tweet to his head coach of the New Orleans Saints, Sean Payne, as well. Tagged him in a social media post. He showed his NASCAR office in Daytona, along with nameplate, and said, quote, "Kind of got a new job. We got to figure something out. I think you still need to be the running back, dude."
Yeah.
As it turns out, Sean Payton was, shall we say, otherwise occupied?
A little bit.
Payton was celebrating his marriage in Cabo San Lucas, but he did keep good humor about it. He replied, quote, "Congratulations. I'll send over my mariachi band to celebrate. Now, can I get a little peace and quiet?" NASCAR.com states that Kamara's job is to, quote, "work directly with NASCAR leadership on strategic planning and creative opportunities that support its fan development efforts." Read into that what you will.
Yeah, well, just the way I read into it, let's just see where this goes.
I'll go with that, yeah.
And see what it develops.
That works for me. And then there is the ESPY Awards. Whatever you think of it, we'll throw it out there. NASCAR driver up against an NHRA pilot, an Indycar driver, and a Formula One champion. These are your 4 nominees for the Best Driver Award at this year's ESPY Awards, set to be held July 10th, airing on ABC. All 4 nominees are champions from 2020, so that should pretty much let you know that the NASCAR driver is Chase Elliott. He's taking on Formula One champion Lewis Hamilton, IndyCar winner Scott Dixon, and the 4th one is NHRA Pro Stock Car title winner Erica Enders. Hamilton actually is also nominated in the Best Athlete Men's Sports category. I will let you know that I did vote in it. I chose Erica Enders.
I went with Dixon.
Did you?
Yep. I went with Dixon.
I could see it. And then finally, somewhere down the line, somebody thumped Andrew Cuomo on the head.
Thumped him in the head, thumped his ear, popped him in the nose.
And apparently,
Yeah.
it made him see the light.
Yeah.
Who knew?
Yeah.
When NASCAR heads to New York State to run at Watkins Glen International, track officials have said no restrictions on fans in the stands. In other words, they can sell all the tickets. A bit over a week ago, Governor Andrew Cuomo announced that all COVID-19 restrictions would be lifted effective immediately. But they do state that if a fan has not gotten their vaccination shot, they are going to be asked to wear a mask.
And the odds of that happening are between slim and none.
Yes. But the information's there just for the purposes of letting you know. When we come back, hour number 2 will get underway. We'll talk about Indycar Series, Formula One, Formula E. All of that's on deck. Plus CRN story time. Matt's got 2 stories. I've got 1 as well. John, you have a story? Nope. John has no story, but he'll keep things running as even-keeled as he possibly can.
I am a story. And an enigma.
Now that you mention that, that's probably quite true. Take this break. When we come back, hour number 2 will be getting underway right here on CRN.
Stay right here for more on the Championship Racing Network.
Actually, good qualifying's about to start.
That works.
Oxford, Anniston, and streaming live 24/7 at WTDR.com. Alabama's #1 country under 92.7.
Dang it! Hit the button too soon.
If you're having problems buying your groceries in Indycar,
I hate that legal ID.
1-800-243-5463. They'll explain all about Snap to you. It's a discount program for senior citizens.
Good? Yeah, interesting. We're coming back to IndyCar, right?
Yep.
Crap.
We're up. Welcome back in. Hour number 2 underway. I'm Steve West with Matt Nicholson and John Myers. Yeah, I've returned. Happy to be here.
Yes, sir.
That'll get back to CRN Storytime coming up here in our last segment of the show. Appreciate all the thoughts and the prayers, by the way. All right. We turn our attention to the IndyCar Series. They have released a statement Monday of this week. They noted that the 2021 season, officially not a 17-race season, they are now dropping it to 16 races. We talked about this just before the Father's Day and all the other breaks that had to be taken.
Mm-hmm.
In that the Canadian officials had gotten together and decided that they're hiding their heads in the sand was still easier than trying to open back up to the real world. So IndyCar, initially posting the Toronto races postponed, have now officially put it into the canceled category and have said that they will not replace it. Racer.com had reported that a 17th race was under consideration. They were talking maybe doubleheader weekends at Mid-Ohio or Worldwide Tech Raceway at Gateway, but an outright cancellation instead stuck in, and now that's happened, 16 races for this season. It's not the worst move in the world. I would have preferred them find another race, even if it was a doubleheader weekend or 2 weekends in a row at the same facility.
Yeah.
What this does, though, is it does ratchet up the drama just a little bit.
It really does. It's surprising. It is surprising that they didn't replace it with something.
A little bit, yeah.
It's very surprising, but
I agree.
I mean,
logistics sometimes just don't work out.
That's right. It is what it is.
Then there's the upcoming Indianapolis race weekend return, which we'll have for a second straight season, a NASCAR IndyCar doubleheader weekend. It is expected to happen, as opposed to the Indy 500, without any restrictions on fan attendance. For the Indy 500 weekend, there were limited in the grandstands at about 40% of grandstand capacity. That's about 135,000 fans. For the weekend upcoming on the road course, final preparations are being made to open it up wide, according to IMS President Doug Bowles. Bowles said this, quote, "I'm really hopeful that there are no restrictions, but even if we were in a 40% capacity restriction like we were for the 500, it's still 135,000 people. And really for the last several years for the Brickyard weekend, we don't come close to that. You and I, and we're not the only ones in the racing world who have talked about that.
Yeah.
But here's the difference. You put those big, humongous stock cars out there in that 2.5-mile rectangle, and they get stretched out real quick.
A lot.
And here's the thing. We're going to see that this weekend as well at Pocono.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
And there's no doubt about it, it can make for some pretty boring racing.
That's not a secret.
Putting it on the road course is in many ways a much better deal.
I agree. It's different.
It's different, number one. Number two, you've got less of an opportunity to have one or, if you're lucky, two cars begin to pull away from the field by leaps and bounds.
Sure.
But that being said, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense either. And I get the fact that they want to open it up wide, but it doesn't make a whole lot of sense to have fans around turn 3, because really the action's pretty far away from there.
It really is. I mean,
and for a good portion of the backstretch too.
Actually, all of the backstretch, really.
You could put some in turn 2. They'll get some fleeting glimpses.
You'd have a few. Probably the best, for the way the road course layout is, the best line of sight is going to be probably 3/4 of the way down the chute between 1 and 2, all the way down the front stretch, around 4, and probably halfway, maybe halfway up the stretch between 3 and 4.
Yeah. So if you were to take a Google satellite shot of Indianapolis, cut the track in half.
Pretty much.
And the half that includes the front straight with the yard of bricks, that's about where you're probably going to put your fans, and probably the pagoda grandstands on the inside. I could see them opening that up.
Probably.
So that's 50% capacity? 50, 55 maybe?
I was going to say probably 60 plus.
60? Okay.
It's going to be close to 60 plus.
I will say this. Got some friends in Iowa. Talked about them. They're actually coming into town tomorrow. But he came down. I didn't mention this, and this will be a little bit more involved in story time. He came down, though. He flew down the night before my surgery, met me at the hospital, and prayed with me that morning before I went into surgery. He flew home that afternoon. Think about that.
Wow.
He and his bride both work for TMC Transport. You may have seen their trucks, flatbed. they're pretty well known in the racing world. Look at Michael Annett and the number 1 junior motorsports team. They have run the TMC colors from time to time. Stacy's waving. That's her. She is waving an incentive because it seems like TMC employees, some of them anyway, get some tickets for this particular weekend. And she's waving them as an incentive for me. So that guy right over there may not be the only guy doing a road trip this year. Just saying. Sweet.
Eyebrow raised.
I'd love to go. I really would.
That would be interesting to see for sure.
You know?
For sure.
Just to be able to say, number one, that I've seen the Brickyard. And I've been there not under racing circumstances. But to see a race there, I mean, that's bucket list stuff for any racer.
Oh, no
is
doubt.
to see a race at the legendary Indianapolis Motor Speedway.
No stinking doubt.
So, and the fact that it's on the road course, to me, is better. Just because
Agreed.
of what we just talked about.
Agreed.
Again, you put them on the 2.5 mile rectangle and they just get all stretched out, and that's that. And it just becomes kind of a snooze fest, truth be told. Whereas they actually have to navigate turns on the road course, and it's going to keep everything a lot closer together. So we'll see. We'll see.
From the sense of Indianapolis, talking about that, if I couldn't see a race up there, I would just want to just go to the track, stand on the yard of bricks, and just look down that hallowed tunnel. I call it the tunnel, with the stadium effect. Stands on both sides, and just stand there in quiet. Kind of what I done at North Wilkesboro when I went and visited the grounds up there.
Yeah.
You just stand there, and it's so quiet. It's like you can just hear the historic whispers at you. That's the best way to describe it.
Yep.
It's quiet, and you can just stand there and hear it.
The one time that we went, to go back to 1996, and it was a good friend, Gary Howell, and me, and we went to the Mopar Nationals, which was held in Indianapolis that year. And they were holding it really at Indianapolis Motor Speedway, the park. Not Indianapolis Motor Speedway, but the Lucas Oil Raceway Park. We stayed at actually a facility that's no longer there, the old Speedway Motel. Speedway Motel was right under turn 2 of the grandstands of the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. And we found a little gate that they had left open, and we were able to climb a hill. And we could see through the grandstands down the back straightaway. So we were looking at turn 2 and the back straightaway going into turn 3. And, you know, we've seen Talladega Superspeedway, obviously, from the PA booth. And it's a humongous facility. Indianapolis is the same way. You don't get as good of an idea for it on television, though, until you actually see it in person.
Yep.
And you can see how massive a facility the Indianapolis Motor Speedway is.
Right.
And how long, I mean, that back straightaway, and the front straightaway probably is the exact same way.
Yep.
It just seems to go on forever. And then it just disappears into this turn 2 with this big wall of grandstands. I'm sorry, into turn 3. And it's at once intimidating, but at the same time thrilling to see it. And I wish the motel was still there, because it was actually a fairly nice place to stay in. And, I mean, let's face it, you're staying on the grounds of the Indianapolis Motor Speedway.
Absolutely.
It's kind of hard to beat that.
It's tough to beat that.
You know, so we had a lot of fun that time.
Yep.
And it was an enjoyable time. So hopefully things will happen within the next 2 weeks. I got to meet with my cardiologist and the guy who cut me open. So hopefully my restrictions will be loosened. We'll see.
Hopefully so.
Turn our attention to Formula One. Officials with the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix have been working with Formula One and FIA officials. They began work this week on reconfiguring the track layout after the 2020 season finale was dubbed inside of Formula One lackluster, some even calling it boring.
Okay, find me one F1 race since before this year. Now, the races this year have been pretty good.
I agree.
Find me one this last year or the previous 3 years combined, let's say that, that hasn't been in the category of lackluster. Because
Well-
there's been somebody running away with them.
Sure. So they submitted a new track layout. It has been approved. The number of corners that will undergo changes all slated to be done in time for the December the 12th race. Exact details were not immediately revealed, but the race promoting company, Abu Dhabi Motorsports, said in a statement they would be doing so soon with the hope and the plan that the new look track would promote more passing opportunities, more wheel-to-wheel racing as well. I did get a quick look at what I think that track layout's going to be. They're eliminating some of the slower portions.
They are. It's going to be a little bit more high speed.
Which, depending, may or may not do what they're hoping it's going to do.
It's going to be close. Let's see here.
You got it?
Yeah, I'm working on that, yeah.
Okay. I know that they're supposed to try and get rid of a chicane going into a pretty sharp turn, which means they eliminate a braking zone, which in some ways, that might not actually be such a good thing. Because if you eliminate a braking zone, sometimes you eliminate a passing opportunity.
All right, got it right here.
Okay.
To see, start finish line, turn 1, 2, 3, and 4, 5, 6. They're eliminating the corners of where 5, 6, and 7 is the 180-degree hairpin going into the long straight, the first long straight.
Okay.
It's going to be made into one turn where it's just the probably, I'm going to say, 110-degree turn maybe back to the left.
So they're eliminating 3 turns out of that, pretty much?
1, 2, yes.
Okay.
Turning 3 into 1. So where 5, 6, and 7.
It could create that could create a single braking opportunity, which may create a passing. Yeah. Okay. All right. I see where they're going with it.
I see them opening up 2 clear-cut main passing zones. They're eliminating the slow-speed corners of where 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 10, 11, 12, and 13 is turning into one sweeping turn. It's
That'll be a high-speed corner.
Right at another 180-degree turn. So they're eliminating the slow-speed areas and turning them into moderate to high-speed passing.
Gotcha. Okay.
I think it'll work.
Hey, couldn't
Time will
hurt.
tell. Yeah.
The fact that they're willing to try something different, that tells me something.
Sure.
Hopefully it'll work out for them. FrenchStretch.com is reporting that Esteban Ocon and the Alpine F1 team have signed a 3-year extension to their deal. Ocon joined the then Renault team for the 2020 season, claimed a career-best second place in Bahrain late last year. Before joining Alpine/Renault, Ocon spent the 2019 season as a reserve driver for Mercedes, before that driving for Force India, remember them, in 2017 and 2018, and started with now defunct Manor Racing in 2016. So far this season, he sits 12th in standings. FIA officials have sent a note out to all 10 teams in Formula One stating that with the Hungarian Grand Prix in August, pit stop procedures must have tolerances built in to allow for human reaction times in signaling. Huh? Yeah. They even stated the times. They're saying you need 0.015 seconds for observation of wheel nuts being tight to the jackman being told to drop the car, and 0.2 of a second from the jacks going down to the driver being signaled to get back into the race. Why, you might ask? Well, it turns out Formula One and FIA officials state that this isn't aimed at any particular team. Bull. But with the speed of pit stops this year, officials want to ensure that the wheel guns are not being automated. Rules state that all sensors in things like that must be passive for safety reasons. Going into last weekend's race, there had been 6 pit stops in 2021 that were all timed at under 2 seconds. The reason I said bull earlier on to the fact that they were saying that this isn't aimed at any particular team, is that 5 of the 6 pit stops that are timed at under 2 seconds were done by Red Bull. So you'll pardon the team as if they feel like maybe they're being singled out, because they are. These changes, by the way, are expected to slow pit stops anywhere from 2 to 3/10 of a second, because now you actually have to pay more attention than what you have been before.
So, dear FIA, how are you going to legitimately gauge and determine that each wheel is observed for 15 one-thousandths of a second? How are you going to judge that, 1? 2, how are you going to legitimately judge the 0.2 of a second from the jacks going to the ground and going to the race? We'll go, oh, click. Oh, Red Bull only done it 1.14 tenths. Penalize them. How can you do that? You can't.
And unlike NASCAR, we don't see the series officials really hanging around all that much.
Yeah.
When it comes to when Formula One pit stops. Now, granted, they're all on camera. So I guess they could, in retrospect, time them out.
I don't know. That means they'll have to have their pit stop clocks, instead of to the 10th, they're going to have them down to the 1,000th.
Yeah.
They're going to have to.
Have to.
Oh, Red Bull did a 1.941 second pit stop. Mercedes done a 2.034. Like, really, anybody cares? Get the wheels on, get the car in, get the wheels off, get them out, let them race.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, that's simple.
Here's the thing. If you want to make sure that they don't have anything more than some passive sensor in the wheel gun, do a better inspection.
I don't know how hard it would be to do that.
I'm not sure.
Seems like it'd be hard to do that.
It seems like it would be hard to do it and do it surreptitiously and hide it.
I don't know. You use a simple rule of thumb. When you put the lug on where and you hear, hear three, you're done. Send them.
It's tight. Yeah.
That means it's tight. Let them go.
And you pray that you didn't cross-thread it.
See Mercedes.
Or Haas F1.
Yeah. True. I don't know. It's confusing.
I know. It really is. I brought it up. I didn't want to confuse you necessarily over your cornflakes. But at the same point in time, this needed to be mentioned because these are the lengths that the FIA and Formula One are going to, because here's the thing. Somebody somewhere had to complain. That's all I can think of. Somebody somewhere had to complain. I guarantee you it wasn't Red Bull. It was somebody complaining about Red Bull. Read probably Mercedes. In the fact that they have seemingly taken pit stops and gotten them down to some fascinatingly exacting science to where they can do sub 2-second pit stops on a fairly regular basis. And granted, they're not gassing it up, but you got to get the car stopped, jacked up, 4 tires off, 4 tires on, jacked down and out. That's not insignificant when you're talking about having multiple sub 2-second pit stops.
No.
They've done their homework.
Exactly. And they've trained.
They've trained.
And trained.
And prepped.
And trained.
Yeah. That's an understatement.
I don't know. It seems like we're trying to find a needle in a haystack, and I'm not sure the needle's there.
Yeah.
Stop looking for problems that don't really exist, because I'm not sure that there is one here.
Nope. It's just adequate training and adequate planning, and
more than adequate, if you ask me.
More than adequate, for sure.
Formula One has talking about a couple of tracks. We got the British Grand Prix. Turkish Grand Prix might actually be back on the schedule. And in Formula E, they were down in Puebla in a multi-configuration track that could be an oval, could be a road course of any number of different configurations. One driver not really all that thrilled about it.
No.
We'll tell you more about that when we come back. You're listening to CRN.
We will be right back with more on the Championship Racing Network.
Hi, Mom.
I'm up.
So fun. Q1.
She's watching our YouTube feed.
Everybody.
Hi, Mom.
Everybody from 1st to 18th was under 1 second apart.
Wow.
19th and 20th was over a second half.
Oh, jeez. And let me guess, those are the Haas F1s.
Bingo.
Uh-huh.
It really irritates me.
Me too. All right, so let's do the two final stories on Formula One, and then we'll say Q1. Then we'll do Q1, and then we'll do Formula E, and then we'll do some stories outside. Seeing as we ain't got no more news to talk about.
Oh, Eddie was worried it was going to be too much.
No, I specifically wanted to leave time for story time. I actually kind of thought I was scraping the bottom of the barrel on news when I was talking about this pit stop procedure thing.
So she
I saw it. You sound live. We are live.
Well, you sound like there's a reason we sound live, Mom 1.5. We are.
she's watching the feed and she's like, "You sound live." John's grandfather was there before '72.
What?
And I'm like, "We are live." I guess that's when you were talking about Indy.
Yeah.
Oh.
She must be busy because she hasn't responded to anything. I sent her.
We are alive. Welcome to it.
Here we go.
And back out to the track for more action on the Championship Racing Network.
Hey, welcome back in. Steve West, Matt Nicholson, John Myers here, live and in person. Thank you very much for checking us out. Whether you're checking us out on our flagship station, Thunder 92.7 in East Central Alabama, we understand that FM does have restrictions, especially if you're traveling east-west bound, say between Atlanta and Birmingham. You may run out. Mm-hmm. There are some radio apps that you could bring up that would allow you to keep tuned in.
Tune in, Simple Radio app, as well as many others.
Yes. Or you could check it out via video as well. There is a video aspect that we have via the YouTube, and Mr. Myers has all the details there.
Well, you just go to youtube.com, type in Championship Racing Network, boom, you're rolling.
Yep.
Don't forget to subscribe so you know when we're coming on live next or out and about somewhere like Matt was in Texas.
That's right. And by the way, subscribing don't cost you nothing.
Nope.
So don't worry about that. All right. Continuing on with some news about Formula One, United Kingdom. Still kind of keeping some travel restrictions in place regarding the COVID-19 pandemic, but they're relaxing some rules in country. What do we mean by that? Well, they're removing the fan restrictions at the upcoming British Grand Prix. In a statement unveiled on Thursday, track officials at Silverstone revealed that they're going to host a full capacity crowd for the race coming up in mid-July. That being said, if you're traveling from another country in Europe or the United States, you might have to undergo a quarantine. So keep that in mind. So really, this is mostly for British citizens.
I did a little bit of research on some things, just seeing how travel restrictions were through the airline carrier that I will be going on in 3 weeks when I go to Honolulu.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty much, I'm going to say 70% of the countries in Europe, as long as you present either A, a negative test, or B, a vaccination card, you're in.
Okay.
No matter where you come from.
There you go. Unless it's Turkey.
Absolutely. That's one of the 30%.
Uh-huh. But that being said, it appears that the Turkish Grand Prix might actually be back. It has risen like a phoenix for a second time in 2021. Initially, it was set as a replacement for the Canadian Grand Prix. We've talked about them and their heads in the sand. But travel restrictions to other countries, read the UK, near it on the schedule at that time caused Turkey to go into the postponed category. So now officially as of Friday, yesterday, the Singapore Grand Prix got canceled. So now we're going to have a triple header that goes from Russia to Turkey October the 3rd and then on to Japan. Okay. So we don't have to worry about the UK situation. We just got to figure out whether or not Japan is going to freak out over people coming from Turkey.
Yeah. What's the odds of that happening? High.
High, considering the fact that there are people in the country of Japan who are going, cancel the Olympics. Shut up. Speaking of the Russian Grand Prix, we have talked about it being in Sochi ever since pretty much, 2014, 2015 when it first ran?
Yeah.
That may not be the case much longer.
Nope. And in 2023, the Russian Grand Prix will be moving from Sochi to Autodrome Igora Drive in St. Petersburg, Russia.
He's not the big deal.
Yeah, it's no big deal. Designed by Herman, this is straight from the F1 website. The Autodrome Igora Drive was designed by Herman Tilke.
There's a shock.
Yeah, and will replace Sochi, which was hosted every year. Hosted F1 every year since it joined the calendar in 2014. It will make that move. The venue was given the Grade 1 status by FIA at the end of 2020, which made it clear to do that.
Okay.
So,
I wonder if, let's face it, Russia, despite the fact that it's not the Soviet Union that it used to be, still a humongous area.
Oh, no doubt.
If they're talking about maybe moving this around a little bit from track to track.
May do it.
Russia big.
It is.
They can
very,
do
very
it.
Big. Very big.
While they have the qualifying for the Formula One BWT Grossier Prix der Steinmark 2021.
Otherwise known as the
Styrian Grand Prix. Yeah.
Q1 down?
Q1's down. Q2 is rolling. Your bottom 5 out is in 16 to 20. Latifi, Ocon, Raikkonen, Schumacher, and Mazepin. 1 to 18.
I was about to say you had an interesting stat there when it
One
came
to
1 to 18.
1 to 18 was less than 1 second apart. 19 and 20 was over a second and a half behind.
Haas F1 is just praying to see the end of 2021.
I mean, it makes no sense to me why they didn't do some kind of upgrades for 2021 to gain some speed. We're going to wait till 2022.
Oh, yeah. They put all their eggs into the 2022 basket.
Which was stupid.
And I didn't actually do this, and I wasn't going to do this story, but I'm going to go ahead and do it. Apparently, they were so intent upon getting everything set properly for 2022 that nobody, and I mean nobody, at Haas F1 realized that the seat that Mick Schumacher is sitting in was actually slightly crooked inside the cockpit.
Our bad.
True story.
Nobody knew about
True
it.
story.
And here's some credit to Mick Schumacher. Being the team player that he is, he didn't loudly complain about it in the press. He didn't go shouting it to the newspapers, radio, and TV stations all around the world. He mentioned it in passing to his mother. And his mother said, I'm calling Gunther Steiner. And Gunther went, it's what?
It's what?
Yeah.
It's crooked? Okay, we'll fix it. So, obviously that hasn't helped.
The way
this weekend.
The way Gunther Steiner talks. You mean to tell me that the seat is crooked in the car? Fix the car! Watch F1 Drive to Survive on Netflix. You'll know what I'm talking about.
Oh, yeah, I can't wait for this. I want this
Oh,
as a
this is gonna
story
be
on
gold.
next year's Formula One Drive
This
to
is
Survive.
going to be golden.
But yeah, nobody noticed it. I mean, we're halfway through the year?
Yeah.
And nobody had a clue that the seat is off canter.
Which is insane.
And I'm not saying it's like 45 degrees off canter, but at the same point in time, as a driver, if your seat is not set to where the steering wheel and your back are perfectly aligned,
You know it.
you'd figure it out pretty darn quick.
It's like, wait a minute, something's up here.
And I would think that over the course of a period of time, depending on exactly how off canter it is, it would become really uncomfortable, considering the number of G's that these Formula One cars are pulling in acceleration and in turns.
Yeah. It's the ultimate way when you know a seat is offline. And this is me talking with a helmet on. You know it by how your hips are positioned in the car.
Okay.
If your hips are positioned that much,
Talking about an inch and a half.
inch and a half off center, you know it. You will find out quick.
Yeah. I mean, if this thing is, and I don't know which one it was because we haven't gotten the details on it, but let's say the seat is cantered 5 degrees to the left of dead center.
Mm-hmm.
Over the course of, in some cases on some of these tracks, 70 laps at the speeds that these guys are pulling and the G-forces that these guys are pulling.
Yeah. That's what you effectively call dead leg.
And pretty severe backache.
Yeah. Because you're opposite. If you're cantered to the left, all your weight's on the right side, on your right hip.
Yeah.
Your dead leg. And your right hip is your throttle leg.
Oops.
Yeah.
So
Fix the car.
yes. So Mick Schumacher's mom, well done. And then there's this little bit of news from Formula E. Jean-Eric Verne, he called upon Formula E to remove the Puebla track from their list of popular future venues. Verne termed the Miguel E. Abed circuit as decomposing.
Never heard that one.
He spoke to motorsport.com and said after the Friday rains last week, quote, "The water was coming back up. I don't understand how that's even possible. We've seen weepers."
I've seen weepers everywhere.
Anyway, he said, then the track was getting into a million pieces at the exit of turn 1 and in the middle of turn 9. We go to the middle of qualifying. We lose 2 seconds from FP3 to qualifying because of the water rising, and it was sunny. I did not enjoy this track.
Jean-Eric Verne, Atlanta Motor Speedway would like a word with you.
Heck, Talladega at some point in times probably wouldn't mind having a word. I mean,
Yeah,
they've
but-
done a great job. Don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to throw our home track under the bus by any stretch of the imagination.
Oh, it's been phenomenal. The track's held up phenomenally.
It has. I mean, the last repave was, what, 2007?
2007.
And they did a fantastic job of setting a base there that would allow the water, for the most part, to drain away.
Mm-hmm.
But we're in Alabama. If you're listening to us in the Southeast and in the state of Alabama, you know this as well as we do, that we can get some pretty torrential downpours.
Agreed.
And in some cases, even the best of drainage systems just get overloaded.
They do.
So we've seen weepers at Talladega. We've seen them in Atlanta. We've seen them at Texas, Martinsville. These are the ones that are of note. A lot of other tracks as well. The whole decomposing part, I can't speak to it. I didn't watch the race.
I didn't either.
And here's the thing. I'm not going to get to watch any Formula E races because they're all on the CBS Sports Network, which is not on my system. Which, it's neither here nor there. So I can't speak as to the track itself. But what I can say about this is, dude, weepers happen.
They do.
And I can't believe for 1 second that Jean-Eric Verne hasn't come across some racetrack somewhere in his racing past, whatever series it may be, where he hasn't had a situation where the track had weepers. This is not unique to Mexico by any stretch of the imagination.
Nope. Not at all.
It happens in Europe. It happens in the United States. It happens regardless of what kind of course or what kind of series you're running.
So you're telling him to just deal with the weepers?
Dude, suck it up.
Well, here's my question. What happens if your house is weeping? How do you deal with it?
See, that's another situation that you probably want to get checked out by some people that know a little bit about something called the foundation of your house.
Yep.
And there are a lot of different things. Water in your basement or your crawl space, or even if it's just damp, that's part of it. If you're having problems opening or shutting your windows or your doors, maybe your floors are a little bit uneven, things like that, all of these are indications that you possibly, and I use this term very carefully, you possibly have a foundation failure. In other words, it's no guarantee that you have a foundation failure. But you want to get it checked out nonetheless. Because here's the thing. If you do have a foundation problem and you leave it untreated thinking, it's nothing. Later on down the line, thousands, tens of thousands of dollars in damage coming out of your wallet. Nobody wants that. You're already spending tens of thousands of dollars on your house as it is, because it's probably the biggest investment you're ever going to have in your life, right? So don't take chances with it. If you're seeing any of these problems, or maybe you're seeing cracks in the sheet wall, the walls inside the house, or the bricks on the outside of the house, Michael Hart is a good person to talk to. Michael Hart and our good friends at Ox Foundation Solutions will come out, give you a no-cost, no-obligation written foundation assessment. How do you get that started? Well, you give them a call, 205-362-6419, or email him at mike@oxfoundations.com. He'll set up the time, he'll set up the date, he'll go through the house, he'll go under the house, and then he'll come back and he'll have a piece of paper for you. And if there's nothing wrong with the house, he'll shake hands, he'll tell you to have a good day, and he'll be on his merry way, and you have peace of mind. On the other hand, if he finds a problem, he's going to be straight up with you. He's not going to make up a problem, but if you got a problem, he's going to tell you what it is. He's going to tell you how it's going to need to be fixed and how much it'll cost to be fixed. But then there's this nice little bit here that Michael Hart, because he's a good friend of the show, FOCRN, friend of CRN, because he is a friend of CRN, he's giving you, our listeners, a chance to take a little bit of money off. Well, I say a little bit. I mean, if we're talking about you having to do, and I'll just throw out a number, $10,000 in repairs, 15% off ain't a small number. And that's exactly what you get if you mention the promo code WEST. That's right. If you need repairs done, have Ox Foundation Solutions do it. You mention the promo code WEST, you get 15% off that repair number. Get the process started. Find out for sure. 205-362-6419, or by email, mike@oxfoundations.com. Don't forget that promo code WEST, because if you need repairs, that's going to come in real handy with Ox Foundation Solutions. And make sure that you tell them you heard about it right here on CRN.
Don't touch that dial. The Championship Racing Network will be right back.
Claire. Like that transition?
Yeah.
That was a smooth transition.
Works for me.
Me too. Oh, look at this one. Knocked out.
I do have a story.
Uh-oh.
Knocked out.
Next to-
Signs,
Next to Mama Myers.
Ricciardo, Vettel, Giovinazzi, George Russell left.
Wow.
He missed getting into Q3 by 1,000th second.
Williams is making some noise suddenly. You gotta give him credit.
Stroll, Leclerc, Sonoda, Alonso,
Sonoda's impressing me this year.
Hamilton and Bottas is 6-5.
Wow.
Verstappen 4, Gasly 3, Norris 2, Perez 1.
I have an IndyCar pedigree.
Does you now?
John
Looking
Myers
forward to hearing
IndyCar
about
pedigree.
Looking forward to hearing that.
My mom received a checkered flag from Indianapolis from my grandpa.
Nice.
He was there in the 1950s.
So I've got one I kept under the cap. I'm going to reveal it.
With what?
Something in Texas that happened. I've kept this under the cap. I'm going to reveal here on the show. I ain't even told nobody about this one.
Cool. Yes, Mom, it's the Cam Mike. Special behind the scenes, listen in on what we talk about when we're off the air. Here we go.
We're back to the Championship Racing Network.
All right, welcome back in. All the news that is fit to print and or talk about on the air has been talked about.
It has.
So we're going to do some CRN story time. I'm going to go ahead and lead off.
Go ahead.
Because it's hard to believe it's less than 2 weeks ago that I got out of the hospital because of having open heart surgery. Yeah, that's right. I had triple bypass surgery. Yep, 3 of them. The worst part about it, truth be told, is not the big scar that's sitting on my chest, although it does get a little bit tight every once in a while. The biggest part is where they got the replacement tubes, so to speak.
Oof.
They got it from my left leg, and dang, that hurts. I've still got bruising, and I still can't stretch my leg out all the way. But that being said, for everybody who has heard about it beforehand and everybody who heard about it after the fact and has been sending thoughts and prayers and goodwill and all that, trust me, it has been more than felt. It has been more than appreciated. And at this point in time, the recovery seems to be going pretty well. I mean, I have been able to take a couple of small excursions. This is the biggest trip that I've made so far. I didn't drive. John drove. But
it's a wonder he made it here without a heart attack.
But let's just say that my engine is, to put it in racing terms, my engine is doing much better because all the clogged hoses that were going into and out of the engine are now clear.
Talk about a heart attack.
Yeah.
It was one waiting to happen.
I was one waiting to happen. I was a ticking time bomb.
Yeah.
That was according to my cardiologist. I was a ticking time bomb. I needed to have this done. And the thing about it is, I have not been the most responsible when it comes to my diet and things like that. But when I started talking to my cardiologist, Dr. Plaisance, he asked me about my family history, and I told him about what was going on my mom's side of the family. My mom was one of 9 kids. And every single one of them had heart problems at some point or another. And he just looked at me and said, yeah, sooner or later you were coming to see me. Just so happens that I did it sooner. And the thing about it is, I did it before I had a heart attack. One of the arteries that was nearly blocked is what they call the widowmaker. So the fact that I got it done beforehand or before anything more serious happened is a blessing from God.
Absolutely. Good.
So I've got a wonderful wife at home. I've got wonderful friends who have been supportive, come and visited me, helped me out in many situations. John, the least of which, coming over and last night and this morning helping me get out to the car and us driving over here to be able to do the show. I've had people mowing our yard, bringing us dinner. I can't say thank you enough. I really can't. Words, in a lot of ways, don't describe the gratitude that my wife and I have when it comes to this. So thank you very much. Continued thoughts and prayers. Late this week, I see the cardiologist, and then a week from this Thursday, I go back and I see the surgeon to see what, if any, restrictions may get lifted. So I'll keep you updated, but the plan is to be here next week. How's that? We talked about Indianapolis a little while ago, and that brought John, whose mother happens to be watching on our YouTube channel. And that brings us to CRN Storytime Part 2, John Myers.
Well, it surprised me that she was watching to begin with,
and we thank you for that, Mom 1.5.
Absolutely. and B, that the things you don't know about your grandparents or even your parents.
Sure.
I actually have kind of an Indycar background pedigree.
Okay.
Apparently, my grandfather was into racing, Indianapolis racing, to be specific. He brought my mom a checkered flag from one of the races back in the 50s.
Nice.
Very nice.
Nice.
I thought that was rather cool.
Hopefully that is on display. Cool. Hopefully that is going to be on display at some point in time in the near future, Mom 1.5.
And I received a text from her, quote, "I have no idea what has happened to it in the years since."
thinking,
There's the
doggone
answer.
it, Mom.
There's the answer to your question, Steve.
I want a hard target search for that. I
Yeah.
really do. I want a hard target search for that.
APB on that one.
Absolutely.
With that, I'll turn it over to 3.0 Matt.
Yep. Storytime 3.0.
3.0
and
and
4.0, as it turns out. Welcome to Matt Nicholson.
Yep.
Oh,
well,
double header.
the last show we done, I made it clear and made it known to everybody I was getting ready to get on an airplane to go to Texas Motor Speedway to go take in the NASCAR All-Star race.
Yes.
Which, by the way, if you're looking, if you're watching us on YouTube, notice the shirt.
Yeah. See that. Whoever had the bright idea to put a race in the middle of Texas in the middle of June, I want to talk to them because I made this clear on a social media post. When I got to the grounds of Texas Motor Speedway on Sunday, I was really thankful, thinking, I'm glad they don't have Talladega in July anymore.
Uh-huh.
I have never in my life, I saw 103 on the thermometer in the rental car I had.
Youch.
103. I didn't sunburn from the time where I walked to where my car was to the main gate. I baked. I could feel my skin getting tight, not burning. I could feel it tightening. It was just that blazing hot. Indentions in the asphalt where like gators and little ATV things have been running around the track. You can see indentions in the asphalt. Melting. That hot.
Could you fry an egg?
You can probably fry an egg and cook a steak at the same time.
Sweet.
Well, getting there I stayed in Denton, just a little bit north of the track. But getting there, I knew the retail store, Buc-ee's, was based in Texas. I just didn't know they would have two of those massive son of a guns in 10 miles apart from each other. Well, you get to Buc-ee's, and when it takes 15 minutes to park in the Fort Worth Buc-ee's is by the racetrack right outside of Turn 2, you know you're crowded.
Yes.
You get in there. Now, I'm wearing my navy, not this white one I have on, but my navy CRN visor and my white CRN T-shirt. I'm in Buc-ee's, because I didn't have a charger port for my car, a charger port for a plug-in to charge my phone. So I'm like, I got to go buy a charger because my phone's going to die before the end of this race. Service was not spectacular where the track sets. I go in there, and I'm walking all over the place, and I can't find a charger, and I'm starting to get mad. I'm getting mad. I'm like, son of a gun, I'm fixing to have to leave and go back, because I saw a Walmart right down the road. I'm thinking, I'm going to have to go back out to Walmart. But I go over by one of the beef jerky racks where this Buc-ee's layout, the way this Buc-ee's is laid out up in Fort Worth. I go by one of the racks, find the charger, find the iPhone charger, think, great, got it, good to go. I'm going to sit in this car for 2 hours and stay cool. I'm not going to go into the gate until the race. The race open started at 5. I'm going to go in the gate probably 4:15, 4:30.
Okay.
All right. I'm staying in the car, staying cool.
Mm-hmm.
I'm standing in line at Buc-ee's. I'm not paying attention to who's around me. Nobody, nothing.
Uh-oh.
I turn partially sideways and I'm looking at something, and I hear this voice that says, "You're a long way from home."
Mm-hmm. Not the first time either one of us has ever heard that.
And I'm thinking, who in the heck is this? And I turn around and look, it's Mike Bagley from Motor Racing Network. I'm going
in town to do the Truck Series race.
Right.
Do the All-Star race, and I'm going.
All-Star race, I'm sorry. Yeah, you're right.
I went, and standing there's Jeff Striegel and Alex Hayden. I'm going, what's up? Hey, guys.
These are all announcers on MRN.
On MRN.
The lead MRN announcers. And that's just from the relationships and the times that we've been around them at these races that Steve and we've all went to.
Right.
They know us. I'm like, how did you? You saw the visor, because normally I wear these visors at Talladega.
Mm-hmm.
They seen the logo. Jeff said, "You just out here spectating?" Yeah, I'm just out here spectating, taking in the places. My first trip to Texas. And I turn around and look, standing behind Jeff Striegel is the CEO of SMI, Marcus Smith.
Owners of
Texas Motor Speedway, standing in a convenience store at Buc-ee's in a polo shirt, flip-flops, and a pair of shorts. I'm going,
Huge.
okay. And I can't. How did it start up? Well, it pretty much said it was Jeff. Said, yeah, he's one of the works in the PA booth at Talladega. He said, don't you work at Darlington too? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Marcus raised that eyebrow and said, okay. I'm sitting there thinking, you ever need some guys? Here I am. We'll fix you up.
Right here.
But the overall facility at Texas is very, very spot on nice. Great facility. It's a little bit tighter confined than Atlanta.
Okay.
He's been to an event in Atlanta. He hadn't been
Yeah.
to Charlotte. I've been to all three of them. Charlotte is what I would call moderately confined. Atlanta is wide open confined. It's got a much bigger concourse area.
Mm-hmm.
Texas, the concourse is tight. All of their souvenir, all of their media, no, not media, their fan midway, souvenir haulers, sponsors booths, all on one road, right behind the main stretch. One road. It's tight. So that just made it even hotter walking through the midway.
Yeah, I bet.
So, race gets done. Great event. I really enjoyed Texas. I will definitely go back, but it will be October or November before I go back. I'll definitely attend another race there for sure. And then where I shoot myself in the foot, like I told y'all before the show, I will never plan a 5 a.m. flight out of Dallas-Fort Worth, Texas ever again. Here's why. The race got through probably, I think it was 9:15, 9:30. By the time I walked the Texas Country Mile to get back to the car, get in traffic, and get out and get to my hotel, it's probably 11:45-ish.
So basically, you're going to get a nap.
Late night.
This, and it made it my Delta app that I flew Delta. This Delta app is very adamantly letting me know your plane leaves at 5 a.m. So I'm thinking this A321 Airbus is about to be wheels up in a hurry. I'm thinking, well, Benadryl is going to be my best friend on this flight from Dallas back to Atlanta. Okay. By the time I got in, got a shower from where I felt like I had bathed in donut glaze because I was so sticky from being so hot. I probably slept 2.5 hours because I had to get the rental car turned back in, get to the terminal before 5 a.m. Well before 5 a.m. Well, the kicker was that the shuttles didn't start running till 4:15. So I had to find an Uber to carry me from the rental car facility to my terminal, which is Terminal E.
And how far was that?
3 miles.
At a cost of?
$18.
$6 per mile.
$6 a mile. I'll never do that again. All right. Here's the part of the Texas trip I've kept under my hat. Get to the terminal. I got in successfully about 4:15. All right. I'm sitting there. They start boarding the plane at 4:40. Ends up going to a 15-minute delay. I'm thinking, hey, 15 more minutes, I can take a nap. So I found a corner where the terminal was, and I was just breezing through Twitter, and I was at gate E14. All the MRN guys was one gate over at gate E13 leaving out. So I'm sitting there, and I got my visor pulled down over my eyes and just carrying on. And some things you see in the airport at that hour of the morning is baffling. Let's just say that.
I could buy that.
But getting ready, I heard the gate attendant keyed the microphone up, said, "Hey, we're about to get ready to go to board the plane." I raised the visor up, and I'm just looking, and I see this blue hat walking, and a taller lady walking beside him. Thinking, the hat's getting closer. I see a Hendrick logo on the hat. I'm going, this person's aiming for this gate. There was 3 open chairs sitting across from me. I'm thinking, oh, it's just somebody from the race. Pull the visor back down. I'm thinking it's going to take another 5 minutes to load this plane up before they start calling at least. 5 more minutes. Okay. to get ready, I open my eyes up, and I look, and on this T-shirt is a very familiar font, number 6, of a very popular late model. It's Kyle Larson and Jamie Little on my same flight.
Nice.
Awesome.
Kyle Larson was going to Ohio to go race sprint cars, laying over in Atlanta.
Very nice.
And when Jamie Little sits down and she deadlocks on that visor, and she's looking, trying to figure out what it is, we're out there, boys.
Hi, Jamie.
But buttoning up from Nashville, that's a fun little racetrack to watch a race at. It varied the way the layout and the way the facility's laid out. It reminds me of Darlington a lot.
In watching the race, I saw it too because there's a lot of banking pretty much all the way around the track. It's not as significant as Darlington, but yeah, you can tell there's banking all the way around that track.
Yep, it is. It's really laid in an industrial area because there's a FedEx delivery facility right off the back street.
Very nice.
It's crazy, but Nashville, I'll definitely be back to Nashville. I like that little place.
All right. Well, there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Hope everything is going well with you. Take it easy this week, as I plan to. And we'll do it all again next week right here on the Championship Racing Network. Who knows? We may have more story time. We'll definitely have more news and more commentary that you expect from us as a general rule. Welcome to the Championship Racing Network. If you're new to it, and if you're a longtime fan, we appreciate it. And hopefully you'll tell more people about us as, hey, we want to be around for a while longer.
CRNradio.us.
Don't forget about that website as well. We'll talk to you again next week right here on the Championship Racing Network.
This has been a presentation of the Championship Racing Network.